Shopping is hard.
I can never find anything in my size.
I don't even know my size.
I buy my clothes the same place I buy my groceries.
There's a better way. Make it easy with Stitch Fix. Just share your size, style, budget, and done. Your personal stylist sends pieces picked just for you.
That was easy.
Stitch Fix. Online personal styling for everyone. Free shipping and returns. No subscription required. Get started today at stitchfix.com.
Can turn this world around and bring back all of those happy days. Put your troubles down. It's time to celebrate. Let love shine, and we will find a way to come together and make things better. We need a holiday.
class in the dinner reservation, but then you get into the all-new Nissan Murano, and you feel the breeze from the panoramic moonroof, while the massaging seats melt away the tension of the day. And you realize that sometimes the greatest rush is not rushing at all. Shop the all-new Murano at NissanUSA.com. Panoramic moonroof massaging leather appointed seats are available features.
Your old or broken phone can let you down when you need it most. But at Verizon, trade in any old phone from our top brands and get the most for it, up to $2,000 in value for an amazing new iPhone 16 Pro with Apple Intelligence and a new line on My Plan, and iPad and Apple Watch Series 10. That's like a 3-for-1, and you can get it on any plan. At Verizon, trade in your old phone for a brand new iPhone 16 Pro, iPad, and Apple Watch. The other guys won't give you that. Visit Verizon.com today. Additional terms apply. Service plan required for Apple Watch and iPad. Up to $2,000 value based on iPhone, iPad, and Apple Watch.
This is Classic Hits at Listen.fm. FM.
Girls, we run this mother. Yeah. Girls, we run this mother.
Mornings can start feeling the same. Wake up, brush teeth, go to work. But with breakfast from Wendy's, it's like, wake up, brush teeth, Baconate with a breakfast Baconator. Roll with the sausage breakfast burrito. Buddy it up with a honey buddy. Or get seasoned potatoes. And then go to work. Sorry. When you're ready for a fresh wake-up call, gotta be Wendy's.
Participating U.S. Wendy's during breakfast hours.
Just a stranger, love the blues and the breeze. There is the sun, and they sing their own.
Heard they tryna steal away, cut it out. Spicy mommy's on the way, bust it down. Someone watch she let away, I flood it out. Hey, talk to me nice, show you what deep in bout. Whoa, pipe down, throwing up shots. First we shut them down, then we open up shop. Willis around just in case y'all forgot. They been tryna stop the way, but the way don't stop. Whoa.
Yo, check this out, you are now
It's 6 minutes past 6 GMT. Welcome to Weekend from the BBC World Service. We start in the United States, where President Trump's agenda for the deportation of immigrants has expanded to include legal immigrants. Mr. Trump's administration has said that it will revoke the temporary legal status of over 500,000 immigrants from the 24th of April. The announcement comes after a federal judge criticized the Trump administration's actions. James Boasberg suggested that the administration ignored his order to halt deportation flights of alleged Venezuelan gang members. President Trump has defended his action and called for the judge to be impeached. Well, I spoke to Karen Tomlin, founder and director of the Justice Action Center in California, dedicated to fighting for justice for immigrant communities, to hear her reaction.
It's shocking news, of course, because these are individuals who did everything right that the U.S. government asked of them, and in fact they're sponsors in the United States who paid the fees, filled out the government paperwork, waited in line to come in with temporary permission to live and work in the United States for 2 years, to say, well, we're so sorry, even if you had 18 months left on your grant of permission to be here, we're going to pull the rug out from under you in the next 30 days. It's really quite surprising, and fundamentally it hurts people, right? It hurts people who have waited in line, complied with the laws, and who are living and working here with permission.
You say it's surprising. Clearly the administration has made a lot of play of what it's going to do about immigration and levels of migration, but this has gone further than you were anticipating, is it?
We thought this might happen, but here is why it is surprising. It's one thing to say or to campaign for public office saying what you want to do is deport or remove individuals who are here without permission and documents, and it's another thing entirely to create a class of 500,000 people who did have permission and documents, and you're taking it away from them without due process or fair notice. That is not an orderly system of immigration, and it certainly is not one that meets the needs of the United States or respects the rights of the people in it.
How can you challenge this if you intend to do so?
Yeah, we already have a legal case challenging the efforts to end the program that allowed people to come here. We have a court hearing on Monday morning in Boston, Massachusetts, and we've let the court know this evening about the latest move by the Trump administration, and that we intend to be prepared to present to the court that we will seek injunctive relief to stop this from happening. The basic challenge is you can't take away something that the government has duly created in the process without giving fair notice to the individuals involved.
And on that court hearing, how confident do you feel about it? We're already seeing, aren't we, one or two examples of where the courts seem to take a different view of certain policies emerging from this administration than those who are putting them forward.
You know, we're really proud to be in court on Monday with our plaintiffs and their sponsors. There's over 1 million people, not just the program we're talking about tonight, but including the program that allowed Ukrainians to come to the United States with permission and sponsors, the program that allowed Afghans who fought with the United States forces in Afghanistan to come in with permission of the U.S. military. And we're optimistic that we'll get a fair day in court and that the judge will take our argument seriously.
And where else could this go if the administration is now taking measures along the lines we're discussing? Are there other groups of people that you're now fearful of?
Yes, of course. I mean, we are fearful of all of the many groups of different immigrants who are in temporary legal status. What I am afraid of is that this administration is so determined to revoke the legal pathways to immigration status that they will do that at every turn and try to actually create a larger group of individuals who no longer have permission to live and work in the United States.
Karen Tomlin, founder and director of the Justice Action Center in California. Now, Canada may be about to call a snap election if rumours are to be believed, maybe even this weekend. The speculation follows the election of Mark Carney as the new Liberal leader and Prime Minister, following Justin Trudeau's decision to step down from the role after nearly a decade in power. Mr. Carney, 60 years old, who used to run the Bank of Canada and the Bank of England, but is a newcomer to politics, is looking at a Liberal revival in the opinion polls. His party is running neck and neck with the main opposition Conservatives, having been way behind until very recently. It seems to have a lot to do with the president next door, Donald Trump. And not only is he imposing swingeing tariffs, but also threatening to take over Canada. Well, I've been speaking to Melanie Joly, Canada's Minister of Foreign Affairs. I asked her first about that trade dispute with the US.
Canadians are very anxious about the trade war that was launched by the Trump administration, which is having and would have even more, if it continues, devastating effects on Canadian jobs. Since we're in that North American reality, we follow very closely what's coming out of Washington. Canadians are very preoccupied about the different decisions that are taken by the White House. So we don't want that in our country. We want somebody also that is able to have strong values that supports the Canadian way of life, but at the same time, which Prime Minister Carney has a lot of understanding of what can be done when it comes to the economy, and particularly when there are difficulties. And we know that Prime Minister Carney, also as the governor of the Bank of England, did a pretty good job when dealing with Brexit and its financial consequences.
He has promised, Mark Carney that is, to, quote, win the trade war with the United States. What does that mean? What would a win look like to you?
Well, ultimately, it's getting rid of the tariffs, making sure that we can be in a position where we can not have Canadians and, by the way, also Americans losing their jobs over this. We've been able to develop one of the most successful partnerships in the world along two countries that have the longest undefended border of 5,000 kilometers.
So a win for you is to get rid of the tariffs, yet we are in a situation, as you well know, where President Trump has vowed to impose further tariffs on the 2nd of April on Canada. That goes beyond what's already been decided regarding steel and aluminium. And Mr. Carney has promised reciprocal tariffs. In other words, that response ups the ante still further. That doesn't get rid of them, does it?
Well, we think that because we've gone through this during the Trump administration first mandate, when he imposed tariffs against our steel and aluminum and eventually lifted them, that we can win the hearts and minds of Americans, because ultimately they're the ones paying for this. We buy more from the Americans than China, Japan, the UK, and France combined. So we're the biggest customer of the US. Our economies are completely integrated. So we think we have the most leverage in the world when it comes to the US.
On working with other countries, you've spoken to the Canadian media about how Canada is in the, quote, advanced stages of talks with Europe to join its new defence partnership. Where does that potentially take you, do you argue?
We think that we have to have more options on the table. We're over-reliant on the American market, particularly when it comes to the defense industry. We need to increase massively our defense spending. We know it. We're willing to take that decision and go ahead. But we want to make sure that while we do so, we're able to create our own defense industry even more. And at the same time, we partner with different types of partners. We already have a free trade agreement with the EU. It's been very successful. We have the same views on Ukraine. We have a very strong relationship with all the European countries. So we want to make sure that we're part of this defense partnership. And I must say, since we've made that public 2 days ago, Canadians are reacting very positively.
I wanted to bring you closer to the UK for a final question, which relates to the fact that Mark Carney, of course, met not just Sir Keir Starmer, the British Prime Minister, but then King Charles, almost as soon as he became your Prime Minister. Of course, you'll be only too well aware that King Charles has extended an invitation to President Trump for his second state visit to the UK. Are you comfortable with that?
It's up to King Charles to take his own decisions and to President Trump to take his own decisions. But what we're very proud of is we have the same king as you do in the UK, and we're very proud of our relationship with the UK, and we want to be closer to the UK.
Melanie Joly, Canada's Minister of Foreign Affairs. You're listening to Weekend from the BBC World Service. We'll take you now to Turkey, where police have once again used tear gas and rubber bullets against hundreds of thousands of protesters demonstrating about the arrest of the mayor of Istanbul, Ekrem İmamoğlu. The protesters defied a warning from the Turkish President Recep Tayyip Erdogan, who said he would not tolerate what he called street terrorism. He's condemned those protests. Well, we can speak to Emily Wither, freelance journalist based in Istanbul. Bring us up to date, Emily, on the scale of these protests.
Hello, good morning. Well, it definitely seems like these protests are becoming more violent in the sense that the police is pushing back even harder. We saw again for a third night, but with a little bit more force, water cannon used, tear gas, and what appears to be rubber bullets being fired to disperse the crowd. And the municipality here, which is run by the opposition, which is run by the mayor here, Ekrem İmamoğlu, says that 300,000 were out protesting outside his offices, the municipality building here in Istanbul. Now, I can't confirm those figures. That does sound a little high to me, but it is certainly clear that there are more and more people coming out onto the streets, not just in Istanbul, I should say, but also in towns and cities across Turkey. We also saw protests in the capital Ankara, in Izmir, down where the earthquakes hit 2 years ago, in Hatay, in Adana. So the protests do seem to be spreading as well.
Remind us why the authorities say they've made this arrest.
So Ekrem İmamoğlu is facing graft charges and aiding a terrorist group. And he's been facing a number of charges for a number of years. And this appears to all be about, this is what the opposition say, this is what Human Rights Watch say, this is what many other organisations have said. This appears to be a campaign to try and remove his potential to run as a presidential candidate in any future elections against President Erdogan. He denies all of the allegations against him. He was asked 40 questions, we've heard, regarding municipality tenders in custody. And we expect that in the next day or so, possibly even today, he will either be charged or released. I think the feeling is that he is going to be charged. But the opposition here are calling this a political coup. They're saying that these are politically motivated charges. And I should say that this is all part of a months-long crackdown that we've seen here in Turkey against the opposition. Many opposition mayors in other towns and cities have been detained, business leaders, journalists. So it is all painting a picture of a wider crackdown on the opposition in general.
How difficult a political moment, therefore, is this for Mr. Erdogan?
I mean, it could potentially be massive. And I think it also marks a turning point for Turkey. I mean, Turkey is classified as a competitive authoritarian country, and that means that elections are free, but they're not fair. And for many, İmamoğlu's arrest would indicate a turning point in the sense that it would see Turkey drift towards full authoritarianism. So certainly for the people out on the streets, they feel that this is a fight for the soul of Turkey. The question is it going to change the course of events? I mean, President Erdogan is incredibly powerful, not only in Turkey, but also on the world stage. And there would have to be many more numbers on the streets, I think, at this point to really put pressure on his presidency.
Thank you, Emily. Emily Wither in Istanbul. Now, it's one of the few top sports where women and men theoretically take part in the same category, but Formula One hasn't seen a woman compete in a Grand Prix for 50 years. Despite huge changes in technology and a fan base which is now estimated to be 40% female, women have struggled to access its exclusive starting grid. And the BBC's Charlotte Simpson has been to visit one organisation based in the UK, trying to break Formula One's glass ceiling.
Welcome to Manchester in the north of England. We're here to join a training day put on by the More Than Equal Project. It's a non-profit organisation co-founded by the ex-F1 driver David Coulthard with the aim of developing the first female F1 champion. In a new partnership with the Manchester Metropolitan University, More Than Equal is putting 6 young female racers from around the world through a driver development programme and monitoring their progress.
Hi, my name is Tom Stanton. I'm Head of Driver Development for More Than Equal. We wanted to profile our drivers to understand what they look like. And over time, we also get a huge amount of data about what works for female drivers, which we can push out more broadly into the ecosystem to help not just the drivers that are on our programme, but all female drivers out there.
What myths do you see going on about why women aren't in high levels of the sport.
We've heard them all so far, so not strong enough, not cognitively aware enough, and it's all the same tropes that you would have had about football 30 years ago. Take physicality. We wanted to do some homework, so we spoke to people like the military, like RAF pilots, to get a comparator of what it's like to be an RAF female pilot, and lo and behold, it doesn't impact in any way different to the male pilots.
Someone who's hoping she'll be the first modern woman to make F1 history is 14-year-old Kristina Kalistova. She's from the Czech Republic and is hoping to follow in the footsteps of her father, a former rally driver.
I think I was 8 when I said to my dad, like, I wanted to try karting.
What was it like when you were announced as a driver?
Yeah, I was really excited and really surprised. It's really nice. They support me a lot.
This time's about 80-85%.
My name is Kirsty Elliott-Sale and I'm a Professor of Female Endocrinology and Exercise Physiology here at the Institute of Sport at Manchester Metropolitan University.
And you're collaborating with More Than Equal to study the performance of their female drivers. Why is this so important?
Really, you know, we say we have little research in women or in female athletes, but we have even less so in younger adolescent girls. And really, I think that's the place to start, is to understanding, you know, how something like puberty and maybe the start of something like the menstrual cycle might affect girls' health and performance. Then looking at a sport like Formula driving, which, you know, again, even within sports science, Formula driving wouldn't have been one of those sports that's routinely examined.
Kirsty, you've been in this research area for 25 years. How have you seen attitudes change to the study of women in sport?
For the first half of my career, people weren't interested in the development of women's sport. But in the last 5 to 7 years, that's really changed. And I think possibly it was, as Olympic sport were pushing for parity and participation, I think that was really a nudge for all sports to really turn their attention finally to girls and women.
And is the ultimate goal to help organisations create better policy and guidelines with gender in mind?
Absolutely. The long-term goal has to be around standard practices really reflect, you know, the female-specific considerations that exist, and so that the next generation, you know, that will be embedded within every sport from, you know, grassroots all the way through to the top level.
Kirsty Elliott-Sale from Manchester Metropolitan University, ending that report by Charlotte Simpson. The boxer George Foreman, who twice won the world heavyweight title, has died at the age of 76. He claimed his first heavyweight title in 1973 in a second-round knockout against Joe Frazier. The following year, Foreman lost the title to Muhammad Ali in one of the most famous fights of all time, the Rumble in the Jungle. He regained his title at the age of 46. Well, last year, to mark the 50th anniversary of the Rumble in the Jungle, he spoke to the World Service about what happened when he first stepped into the boxing ring with Muhammad Ali.
He looked at me and looked like he was trying to psych me out, because I stared at him with a fierceness. He said, "George, you don't have business in here with me. You were in high school when I won the championship of the world." And I almost burst out laughing because I never saw a day in high school in my life. Somebody told him wrong.
Well, Joel Engel is the co-author of George Foreman's autobiography, By George, the autobiography of George Foreman, and he told me more.
He grew up in a part of Houston, Texas known as Fifth Ward, which is the slummiest slum you've ever heard of. And he was always angry. He wasn't sure why he was always angry, but he got in a lot of fights. His 5 older brothers and sisters used to call him Mohead. He didn't know why they did. He just knew he didn't like it. And he was much bigger than they were, and he looked like he came from a different family, actually. And he did poorly in school, and he got involved in something called the Job Corps, which took young people like him when he was a teenager, and they put them in a place where they might be able to learn useful life skills. And it was from that, when he was in Oregon, they sent him to Oregon to do that, where he first was involved in boxing. Now, I don't mean street fighting, because he did a lot of that. He was the town bully or the neighborhood bully. But he learned boxing from that. From there, he went to Golden Gloves, and from there, he went to the Olympics.
And that's obviously, as you say, where the discipline comes from, having been the street fighter that he had previously been. What made him so good in the ring, do you think?
He once said, the reason that Muhammad Ali had the neurological problems that he had was because his head wasn't made for getting hit. My head, he said, was made for getting hit. He could really take a punch, but he was insanely strong. If you've ever seen the video of his fight when he won the heavyweight championship against Joe Frazier, who was considered pretty much unbeatable, he lifted him off the campus a couple times with blows to the midsection. He was incredibly strong and a large man.
Your mention of Muhammad Ali obviously takes people's minds to the famous Rumble in the Jungle fight, which remains to this day, doesn't it, one of the boxing encounters of all time?
Yeah, and George was heavily favored. Muhammad Ali was coming back, having had his title stripped from him, and he rope-a-doped him, as he later termed it. He let George punch himself out. It actually, I think, helped set George on his path the rest of his life. He's heavyweight champion of the world, and people are booing him. They're constantly booing him because that is the persona he gave off. So when he came back again, he wanted to be loved.
And that was an extraordinary moment, wasn't it? Because what age was he by then? He was in his 40s.
He was 46.
Yeah.
It was the first fight I'd ever been to in my life. I knew nothing about boxing, by the way. That's one of the reasons that he liked me. And in the 10th round, he knocked out the heavyweight champion, Michael Moorer. And I was sitting 5th row aisle. I have no memory of how I got down. I think I floated down to the apron. And it just happened to be the corner where George was kneeling in prayer. And it was an astonishing moment. The place went crazy, and that was completely the difference. So what they were cheering for him this time, it was the inverse of what had happened to him in Zaire with Ali.
And when you met him, spoke to him, what was he like?
Oh, he's lovely. People laugh when I say this about him, but he reminded me in some ways of Dylan. Always kept a little bit away in reserve for himself, that he wasn't going to share except with the people who were very, very close to him. But he was funny, he was fun, he was a terrific storyteller and a very good listener.
Some touching reflections from Joel Engel, paying tribute to the legendary George Foreman, who has died at the age of 76. You're listening to Weekend from the BBC World Service. In a moment, I'll introduce you to my two guests who are going to be with me for the rest of the programme. Before that, the latest news headlines.
Distribution of the BBC World Service in the U.S. is made possible by American Public Media, producer and distributor of award-winning public radio content. APM, American Public Media, with support from Raymond James, tailored wealth management, banking, and capital markets solutions for clients' unique needs. Disclosures at raymondjames.com.
From the University of Tulsa, this is Public Radio 89.5, KWGS HD1 Tulsa, made possible by your financial support.
Support for Public Radio Tulsa is provided by the founders of the Shining Honor Project, enriching the lives of those with developmental challenges while honoring our nation's veterans. Meet and learn about Honor Team members at shininghonor.org/.
6:30 GMT. This is Weekend from the BBC World Service. Still to come, how recent epidemics beyond COVID have highlighted inequalities in society and continue to do so. We go inside a madrasa for girls in Taliban-run Afghanistan, and why gravity gets in the way after months in space. That's all here on Weekend after the world news.
BBC News with David Harper. London's Heathrow Airport says it's open and operational after it was shut for most of Friday because of a fire at an electricity substation which provided its power. But passengers are being advised to check with airlines before heading to the airport. New York's Columbia University has agreed to a series of new policies in an attempt to help restore federal funding cut by President Trump. His administration pulled $400 million of funds, saying the university had failed to fight anti-Semitism on campus. Washington has announced another crackdown on immigration by revoking the temporary legal status of around 500,000 Latin Americans. Those affected have been told to leave the United States within a month or face arrest and deportation. The two-time heavyweight boxing champion George Foreman has died at the age of 76. He took part in some of the most important boxing events of all time, including a match against Muhammad Ali in 1974. The boxing great Mike Tyson said Foreman's contribution to the sport and beyond would never be forgotten. The online influencer Andrew Tate and his brother have returned to Romania, where they're facing a number of criminal charges. They deny the allegations. Niger's government has declared 3 days of mourning after 44 civilians were killed in an attack by Islamic militants. The junta-run Interior Ministry said the victims were attending a prayer service at a mosque in the southwestern town of Kokoro when the attack happened. Protesters in Peru have been demonstrating on the streets of the capital Lima to demand that authorities take more measures against the growing wave of violence and insecurity gripping the country. At least one person has been injured in clashes between police and demonstrators. The parent company of Facebook has agreed to stop targeting advertising at a British user based on her personal data. Tanya O'Carroll took legal action against Meta after she says she was bombarded with baby content when she became a mother. Meta denies her claims. BBC News.
You're listening to the BBC World Service. I'm Julian Warwicker with The Weekend, and I have two guests with me for the rest of the programme who will give us their personal take on the news and issues of the day. Both with me in the studio. Yujia is here, Senior Research Fellow on China at the Royal Institute of International Affairs, commonly known as Chatham House, here in London. Welcome back. Good morning.
Good morning, Julian. Lovely to see you.
And likewise. And Lewis Halsey is here for the first time, Professor of Environmental Physiology at the University of Roehampton here in the UK. Lewis, welcome.
Good morning.
A word of introduction so that people listening have an idea as to why you're here and what you specialise in. Yujia, remind us about your route to Chatham House. Born in Chongqing, I think, in China?
Yes, that's right.
At what point did you move to Britain?
Well, 20 years ago, I moved to this country. I liked it. I decided to stay in here. But before my academic career, I was management consultant. I tried to deal with the mergers and acquisitions of the company. But then my all-lifetime hobby is on international politics. So hence I've done a job. I'm still doing a job that I liked it since I'm 17 years old. So much enjoyed it.
And there's clearly a pretty consistent appetite for greater knowledge and understanding of China, so I'm imagining that you're pretty busy in Chatham House.
We're busy constantly all the time because I think President Trump producing news for us on a daily basis. I think that's a part of the reason. And also, I think given where we are and people's knowledge for China, I think the hunger for knowledge for China become even more. I think partially was also to do with the fact that people try to read China is very difficult and also tricky because on the surface, on the statements, on the official statement is one thing, but how are you going to interpret those official statements is an entirely different matter. So I think that's also given me a very interesting job to tell people what's going on.
Good. Well, feel free to guide us through that at various points during the next couple of hours. Lewis, I'm bound to ask you first of all, environmental physiology. What is that? Break that down for us.
Well, broadly, environmental physiology is the study of animals and humans in their environments, natural or otherwise, and how those environments affect their physiology, or more broadly, their condition. It could be their cognition, their psychology, their behaviour, their choices.
And what particularly took you down that route in the first place?
Well, I started off studying zoology and blended that with psychology, actually. And then I went on to do a PhD studying the diving physiology of tufted ducks. So a rather specific research area is often the case with PhDs. I then upgraded from diving ducks to diving penguins in the sub-Antarctic. But actually in the background, I always had an interest in the physiology and the psychology of humans. And so in recent years, partly for practical reasons and partly because it's just so very interesting, I studied the human condition.
Which we will certainly feed into at various points during the conversation. But I'm interested to know what you discovered about the diving physiology of tufted ducks.
So tufted ducks breathe air like human beings do, but they spend a lot of time diving underwater for their food. So they've got this problem. They want to spend as long as they can where the food is and searching for it, but they've got to hold their breath. So we were looking at how good they are at holding their breath, both in terms of their physiology being adapted to staying underwater, working very, very hard against their positive buoyancy. So they're working really hard, they've got limited oxygen, how do they eke out that oxygen? And how behaviourally do they adjust? How much time they spend at the surface breathing and how much time they spend underwater where the action is? How do they adjust that depending on the environmental conditions they're in?
Fascinating. I'm really glad I asked that last question. With me throughout the programme then, Yuji and Lewis Halsey, plenty more to come from them as we turn our attention first of all to epidemics, with obvious reference to the COVID epidemic, but actually take it back further in time because this weekend marks 5 years since the then UK Prime Minister Boris Johnson introduced unprecedented measures across this country to lock down society in response to the spread of COVID-19. The outbreak was first documented in the Chinese city of Wuhan, and there have been an estimated 800 million cases, with a death toll of between 18 and 34 million around the world. Now, it might be the only pandemic in living memory, but the mass spread of disease is not a new thing. The science historian and writer Edna Bonhomme knows this well, and in her new book, A History of the World in 6 Plagues, she outlines what different pandemics have taught us about our resilience or lack of it in the face of disease.
The purpose of my book is to understand modern epidemics, to really consider how case studies can really show how marginalized people experience epidemics, as well as the ways in which people form collective units in order to heal each other. I think that many people can remember that during the initial stages of the COVID-19 lockdown and think that somehow the pandemic was unique or special. And I thought it was important as a historian of science and also as someone trained in biology to consider how various past instances of public health measures, some form of confinement, also dovetailed with either the spread or the control of an epidemic.
And it takes you to different times, to different parts of the world. How many parallels can you see in each of these 6?
So I look at cholera in the plantation in the 1850s and 60s and start in the United States. And I end with the COVID outbreak in Germany. And each of these cases offer a bit of different insight with respect to the idea of captivity, whether it's through force, such as through chattel slavery, and also the self-exile. And part of what I try to uncover is how the diseases were understood well before the masses had a conception of bacteria and viruses. What I see, at least in the context of the pre-1945 period, with cholera, sleeping sickness, and the flu, is that when people didn't understand microorganisms or didn't really have a sense that the government would help them out, that there was far more fear and anxiety that proliferated during